everyone, good evening. Charlotte here for Top Tip Tuesday on Instagram Live for our first Instagram Live, our first Top Tip Tuesday of 2022. Thank you so much for being patient with me when I had a break over Christmas and the New Year. I hope you all had a good winter break. Hi, Asil. Hope you all had a good winter break. Hope you enjoyed Christmas for those of you who were celebrating. And I cannot wait to tell you about our new program. Hi, Joe. The new program, my first set of workshops I'm going to be doing for 2022 is the Montessori Conscious Parenting program, and we start in 12 days' time. Yeah, the 16th, so Sunday the 16th. Hi, Asil. And I've got my new earrings in that I was given for Christmas by one of my lovely clients, Rasha and Jad. I know they're going to be watching as well. And they're just the most divine colour. I don't know if it's coming through, but they're like a really bright sort of like teal green colour. They're awesome. So the Montessori Conscious Parenting Program, we're going to be doing it live here in Dubai. And we're going to be doing it online as well at the same time in tandem. Excuse me, I've got a funny cough. It's nothing more than a cough, but it is quite annoying. Actually, the children have got it too. So yes, the Conscious Parenting Program. So this is a combination of some different programs I've done before, things I put together for individual clients. And we're going to do it in 2 sessions, 2.5-hour sessions. And it's all really about knowing that our children are our first teachers, are our greatest teachers. And I saw this great quote on Instagram about how becoming a parent gives you a spiritual transformation you didn't know you needed. And I really, really love that quote because it really totally speaks to me and what I've learned in my 7 years of being a parent. And I realized, and as Joe's on here and Asil, both of them are educators. Hi, Prudence. It's so interesting, isn't it? We can be an educator before we have children. And then once we have children, we realize we didn't know that much about children at all. Because we respond so differently to our own children than we do in the classroom. So it's really just so incredible how our children teach us so much and teach us where our wounds are and where our triggers are. And this is what we're going to be looking at and unpacking and understanding on a deeper level for the Conscious Parenting Program. For any of you who've read Dr. Shefali's great book, The Conscious Parent. So lots of the themes in that, Joe, are you laughing about the educator thing? Lots of the themes in The Conscious Parent, there's so many parallels with Montessori education. It's really, really funny. And so many people that I work with say, I want to do conscious parenting. I want to do conscious parenting. Tell me about it. I don't know much about Montessori, but I've heard a lot about conscious parenting. That's what I want to be doing. But the great thing is that the way I explain conscious parenting is what Dr. Montessori was saying over 100 years ago, before conscious parenting was even a thing. But conscious parenting is said in more accessible language. Of course, Dr. Montessori's texts were written over 100 years ago, a lot of them over 100 years ago. So the translations can be, the language is very different. The way that we refer to, we refer to children in different ways. We refer to behavior in different ways that Dr. Montessori did at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. So consequently, Dr. Montessori's work can be quite difficult to understand what she's saying if you're accessing it for the first time. Whereas if you look at Dr. Shefali's work, The Conscious Parent, that is really, really clear and done in more modern language. And actually, talking about a book that Dr. Montessori wrote that's super, super accessible, actually, I really recommend Maria Montessori Speaks to Parents. It's a small booklet. I think it's only 57 pages long. And it's something she wrote specifically. Hi, Artisan Karina. She wrote specifically to speak to parents, not educators, so people without any Montessori knowledge. It's only been published in recent years. It's published by the Montessori Pearson Group, and it's called Maria Montessori Speaks to Parents. And it's almost like a booklet, a small, thin book, but it's so spot on in speaking to parents about how we can address children, how we look at our own issues before we try and discipline our children. We need to see where our triggers are and know ourselves better. So that's what she conveys in this book. And so that's what we're going to be looking at in our conscious parenting program. As I said, 2 sessions, each one of 2.5 hours. We're going to be looking at our children being our greatest teachers. We're going to be looking at ways that we're going to think, ways we're going to speak, and ways we're going to act around our children. It's going to be differently. We're going to be responding from a different place when our child has a tantrum. We're going to be responding from a different place when we realize we're triggered and we blow up and have our own tantrum. And we all do it. You know, I did it last night actually with Olivia. So we all do it. This isn't about pointing fingers about what we are or aren't doing. What this is this beautiful gift of us realizing that these are our little wounded parts from when we were children that are coming up. And that's why we're so triggered. That's why we're so activated by our children's normal behavior, natural behavior, developmentally appropriate behavior. That's why we're so, triggered by it. And that's what we're going to be looking at in the Conscious Parenting Program. And what's really beautiful is that when we set our intention to be on a different path, to honor the childhood that we had and the lessons that we were here to learn, and all the things that our parents did to us, we now know through neuroscience and all the developments we know, recent brain developments about how the way that children's brains grow, raise consciousness in general, globally. We know that we need to be parenting with compassion, with an awareness of our own wounds and what we're bringing to the child relationship. Hi there, everyone who's joining. And then this is going to enable us to contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world. I keep seeing and reading that beautiful quote that when we heal ourselves, we heal 7 generations behind and 7 generations ahead of us. So this really is deep work where we can look at our wounds from childhood with love and with compassion. And we know that when our child is behaving a certain way and acting out in the way that we respond is from our childhood. And this sets us on this path of creating a more peaceful and harmonious world, because then we're not reliving the same wounds onto we're not imposing our wounds on top of our children so that they then have to unpick when they're later in their later life. So this is what conscious parenting is. It's being aware of where we are, who we are, how it all fits together, and how our child is this wonderful activator, this button that is triggered, that is activated, and then helps us see the wounded parts of ourselves. So we're going to be going into this in a lot of detail. We're going to have lots of time for questions and answers. There's going to be homework. There's going to be affirmations and journal prompts. So it's a really comprehensive program. And the first session is on the 16th of January, and the second session is on the 30th of January. So we've got 2 weeks to digest, what we've learned, the homework in that fortnight that we'll do, and then we'll come back with fresh eyes and a fresh perspective for the second session. All of my workshops, all of my programs include a dedicated WhatsApp group with me and the other participants, so that we can all work through things together. You're more than welcome to message me when things come up, when you're writing in your journal, when questions come up, when incidents come up with your children. And I have people on WhatsApp groups from maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, excuse me a moment. A dry cough is really uncomfortable when you're speaking a lot. I have people on a WhatsApp group from 2 years ago who I still actively engage with regularly, who are asking questions, who want to see something from a different dimension. So those WhatsApp groups are really, really active, and it brings a lot of value to the program, because then you're learning with this core group of people that you learn these new principles with, and then you go forward with them, and then you see each other's growth. And it's growth for me too. Every single parent that I work with, the The framework of the questions are the same, but obviously every child is different. Every family is different. So we have this beautiful framework that sort of holds us, whether we talk about Montessori or conscious parenting. And then within that, there's all these idiosyncrasies and uniqueness. It's the uniqueness of every child, of every family, of every parent that makes it so interesting and makes it so nourishing for us to learn from each other in these situations. So, as I said, there's homework, journaling, affirmations, a dedicated WhatsApp group, the 2 sessions, each of 2.5 hours. And we're going to be looking at the very foundation of Montessori, the foundation of a Montessori home or environment. The 3 principles is basically, we call them in the classroom 3 ground rules. But these are, if you like, the core values of our home or a Montessori environment. We do no harm to ourselves, to others, or to the environment. So, said another way, we look after ourselves, we look after others, and we look after the environment. It's actually called grace and courtesy, and it's called activities of care of self and activities of care of the environment. There's specific curriculum areas, if you like, in the classroom where we learn to care for each other. We learn how to care for living things in the environment, plants, pets, animals. At Olivia and Harry's school, they have a couple of cockerels, and they have lots of plants to look after in the classroom. Olivia's in elementary, and my son Harry's in CASA, which is the 3 to 6 age group. So we literally learn in Montessori how to look after ourselves, how to look after others, and how to look after the environment, how to clean up after ourselves, how to wash up, all of those things. And so these are the very foundations of Montessori, because learning to care is an art, how to look after other people. And that is a part of consciousness and raising consciousness, because it is, how do we look after others? Even though we have things going on in our own life, how can we serve others? How can we care for others? When we feel that we're capable and contributing members of the community, then we're going to be able to raise, hi Harry, we're going to raise others up as well. So the more we feel capable, the more we can raise others up. And that's a really, really important part of Montessori. So that's one of the foundations that we're going to start with. And that just weaves so beautifully in with conscious parenting, because the foundation of there is ahimsa, as it would be in Buddhism, do no harm. And ahimsa is part of the Montessori community. And then that ripples in beautifully to conscious parenting, because that's what we're trying to do. We are parenting in a way that we heal ourselves and we heal our children. We do no harm to our children. So that's how it all weaves together, Montessori and conscious parenting. And the focuses are on connection and simplicity and healing. We are accepting our children as who they really are, not who we want them to be. Maybe we want them, maybe we come from a really outgoing, hi Stephanie, maybe you come from a really outgoing, wild family that loves to party and they're really loud, and that's part of our culture too. But maybe our child is the introverted child. Our child is more reserved. Our child will be called shy. I hate the word shy, but our child is more reserved and is slow to warm up. And maybe that's really difficult for us, because in our community, children are expected to chat and get involved. Children are expected to, greet elders and show them respect at the age of 3, for example, which might be possible for some children. But if you have an introverted child, that's going to be really, really hard for them. And so that undoubtedly is going to trigger other family members. And so what we do in conscious parenting, Montessori parenting, is we bring that into the light. We'll start off with just a broad chat actually with the heart. I pass around a heart, and everyone has 5 minutes to say what it is exactly in their heart. What are they working through? What are they finding challenging in parenting at the time? And usually 99.9% of the time that brings up a challenge that we can then dive into. That's our window, that's our portal into something for conscious parenting. And it's so interesting, because it's usually that our child is behaving in a way which is not in alignment with our values, or is not what our parents want them to be doing, or I don't know, all babies throw food on the floor, right? But in some cultures that might not be acceptable. In some families that would be seen as disrespectful, or the child wasting food, or could be seen as rude, and that's going to bring up a whole world of pain for us, because we're going to be triggered by that. Our child having a tantrum, our child refusing to get dressed, our child being messy when we're really tidy, our child being quiet when we want them to be outgoing, our child being disrespectful and being rude to us, our child swearing at us, our child spitting at us. All of these things bring up so many amazing triggers. It's really funny. Harry, my son, who's 4, he's almost 5, he'll be 5 in March. He started spitting earlier on this year. Oh, sorry, not earlier on this year, last year now, 2021. And it was so funny for me to observe myself and how annoyed I was with this. I mean, obviously, spitting is gross. We can say that for sure. But from the reaction in my body, from the way it was this visceral reaction of sudden anger, intense anger, I thought, uh-oh, that's coming from somewhere else. And with what I know from Montessori parenting and being a Montessori guide and doing journaling and reflection as part of my course from the very beginning, I knew that I had something to have a little poke around, see what was in there, and then I could work out why I was being so triggered, why I was being so activated by this. So that's what the gift is of conscious parenting. It shows us, it shines that beautiful, compassionate light on where we need healing. And shows us where we are maybe limiting our child, where we're expecting them to behave in a certain way, which may not be developmentally appropriate. Maybe that doesn't suit their personality. All of these things come up, and it's so, so interesting. Let me just have a little sip. Please do stop me and ask any questions if you'd like to. And I'm sorry for my really dry throat. It's funny, it wasn't that bad, but I think speaking a lot has really exacerbated it. So, what else can I tell you? Montessori parenting and conscious parenting is intrinsically linked. Dr. Montessori was doing conscious parenting before that was even a thing, over 100 years ago. I would love you to join this program with me and the other participants, the other workshop participants. It's a 2-session program, Sunday 16th and Sunday 30th of January. It's going to be live here in Dubai and online. We're going to be doing 2.5-hour sessions, and that's at 9 a.m. Dubai time on the 16th and the 30th. I also have an awesome early bird discount, which is available until midnight on January the 7th. That is almost a 25% almost 20% discount. So the usual price for the conscious parenting program is 1,900 dirhams. That's roughly $520 per head. Your discount is 400 dirham or $110. You can enter that discount code if you go to enrichingenvironments.com/shop, or you can click the link in bio after this. And you can save up to 20% on the early bird discount for the Montessori Conscious Parenting Program. Your code, and I'll put it in the text afterwards, is earlybird400 AED. So that's earlybird 400 AED. And you can either pay online via my website, that will be in US dollars, via PayPal, or you can send me a DM and I will send you the EFT details if you'd like to do a UAE bank-to-bank transfer. I'm with Mashrek. So to reserve your spot. Hi everyone who's joined. Sorry, I'm missing everyone who's joining. Hello, shall I do my waves? So I'm so looking forward to seeing you all for the Conscious Parenting Program, the Montessori Conscious Parenting Program. We are going to dive deep into our children being our teachers. First and foremost, we're going to dive deep into connection as paramount, more than anything else. Connection is more important than anything else with our children. We're going to dive deep into our triggers, our activations, and where we can heal ourselves to contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world. And we all want a more peaceful and harmonious world. We all want a more just world. Events of the past 2 years, I think, have really shown us, us whites, I should say, who were privileged enough to not really understand the extent of white privilege, to not understand the extent of the racism that exists in mainstream society still. We were really lucky as whites to be sheltered from that, but I hope now that we've seen the inequalities, and I hope that gives us passion and drive to be an advocate for Black, Indigenous and people of colour, to be advocates for the global majority, to look at the ways in which we are being complicit in bias and racism, and to see how we can create a more peaceful and harmonious world in our family, just by the way that we live, what we show our children, how we conduct ourselves. And this is all part of conscious parenting. We are just giving ourselves that gift of being able to see the world, our children and ourselves, through a different lens. This isn't about always being right. This isn't about not being triggered or saying the right thing or never losing our temper. We're all human. What conscious parenting does is gives us this gift of just being able to see things from a different perspective, because awareness is the first step. I can't remember who said that, but it's so true, isn't it? Once we realize that we are doing something that's not in alignment with how we want to be or how we want to live or what we want to model, then we can do something about it. But our first step is awareness. So thank you so much for joining me, everyone, this evening. I have loads of people come in. If you'd like more information about the Conscious Parenting program, you can check the link in bio. I'm going to pop this up on my feed straight away. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me a DM, or you can email me, sayhello@enrichingenvironments.com. But do not miss the early bird. You can save up to 20% on the Conscious Parenting program if you sign up by midnight on January the 7th. We begin together on January the 16th, Sunday morning here in Dubai, 9 a.m. Sunday morning on January the 16th. I can't wait to see you all. DM me if you have questions, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Have a beautiful week.